ROPA is a waste of time. Today, I'm joined by Rupert Collingwood, who is an estate agency broker from London. Thanks for joining me today, Rupert. Before we switch the cameras on, you said to me that regulation and ROPA is a complete and utter waste of time for the estate and letting agency industry. Why is that? Talk to me.
Well, Chris, I think to really understand why it's a waste of time, I think we have to look at how it was created in the first place. ROPA obviously got its name from the ROPA report and uh, the steering group that was created back in whenever it was 2017, 2018, chaired by Lord Best. And everybody in the room that wrote it had, at least in my opinion, a vested interest in producing the result that they produced. One of the biggest issues that comes out of the ROPA report when you've read it is the fact that any enforcement of ROPA is enforced by exactly the same people who today are unable to enforce the current rules and regs that govern us. In essence, the poor old guys at Trading Standards. And funnily enough, I managed to share a seat next to Lord Best at a dinner, and we spoke about this exact topic. And one of the, I suppose, critical points that we discussed was that Trading Standards don't get to keep the money from the fines that they generate. So what that means is you've got Trading Standards with limited personnel enforcing regulations across the board, as I'm sure you can understand. But the money that they raise doesn't go back into Trading Standards to increase their personnel and enforce more consumer law, let's call it that for the sake of argument. Instead, it gets siphoned off to fill whatever black hole is missing from the local authority. So that is one of the key things. But I would also go so far as to say I'm not entirely sure it's needed anyway. It's very easy to make the argument in our industry that regulation is a needed and powerful thing because people decide that for whatever reason, the reason estate agents are whatever you want to call it, untrustworthy or that whatever it is because of a lack of regulation. That's, in my humble opinion, not really the reason that estate agents aren't particularly trusted. The reason they're not trusted is because there's an element of urban myth that all estate agents are terrible people. And I don't think the statistics, certainly not from the likes of the property ombudsman or the redress scheme, as they're called now, previously the property redress scheme, back up the assertion that all estate agents are crooks. So I don't think that it's necessarily needed. What I think is needed is proper enforcement of the current rules.
And how would you do that?
I think there are a number of routes to it. I think one of them is a public-private partnership, where a commercial private firm is engaged to work with Trading Standards to seek out, investigate, and I suppose fine, ultimately, hold to account those who transgress the rules. Trading Standards would, by dint of law, still have to be the enforcement body, but the fines that would be generated should go into running the firm that is looking at whatever it might be, and it could be anything. It could be landlords not doing, being correctly licensed for HMOs. It could be poor governance with regards to deposits. It could be misrepresentation, etc., etc., etc. Trading without insurances, or your, or your various ombudsman memberships, whatever it is, AML, all of those sorts of things. But actually, there is somebody with a vested interest in reacting to the transgressions within the industry. And I suspect that very, very quickly you would find the poor behavior would disappear the moment that people actually understood that there was somebody looking at what they were doing.
And this would cover private landlords as well?
Everything that ROPA was supposed to cover. Yeah.
Because I'm of the opinion with ROPA is that it levels the playing field, but if you're still going to stop bad people do bad things, that whether there's a piece of legislation or not.
So when you say level the playing field, what do you mean by that exactly?
We're all playing off the same rules.
We're already all playing off the same rules. Why are we not all playing off the same rules?
But again, people's perception is that people were not playing off the same rules.
Who?
Agents are saying, well, they're not the other agent down the road's not compliant, or they're not doing. I mean, we're filming this in the second week in May. The material information, guidance from trading standards has been removed. A lot of agents think material information has gone away. It's just a different policeman, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Well, so the interesting point about leveling the playing field is that we are all on a level playing field. Those people, there are always rules, and there are those who apply absolutely the letter of the law to everything they do, and there are those who sit towards the closer end of what is
the grayer area.
The grayer area of things. And certainly, I used to be a rugby player, not so much anymore, but those games are won at the edges. Now, I'm going to be a little controversial. A number of the people who overtly campaign for ROPA are the people who, in the very first instance, tried to skew the pitch in their favour originally by doing a qualification, getting a badge and letters after their name in order to go into a valuation and put a sticker on their window to say that you should come to us because we're better. Actually, it turns out that the public don't care about stickers on windows, letters after your name, and so on and so forth. What they care about is, are you a good person? Do I trust like you? Do I know you already? And are you going to be any good? So actually, the reason to campaign for regulation is in order to make sure that that money's not misspent, and that everybody else who doesn't have all of those qualifications have to then take those qualifications to come up to a level playing field. So I think it's a well-known line where they say it's to level the playing field, but I would say the people who are campaigning for it tried to uneven the playing field in the very first place.
Do you agree or disagree with Rupert? Put your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for your time today.
You're welcome.